Hello, it's Leslie Fightmaster welcoming you to day 25. Sit up nice and tall with your hands together, close your eyes, create your intention or create your dedication for your practice. And then inhale and sweep your arms out, around, and up. Palms face each other. Exhale the fingertips to the floor in front of you. And walk yourself forward any amount. Doesn't have to be far. Just until you feel a nice little stretch, maybe in the hips, maybe in the lower back. So today's class is going to be a hips class. We'll do some hip opening today. And then inhale, walking up. And we'll switch the cross of the legs so the other shin's in front. And again, sitting tall, sweep the arms up as you inhale. And then exhale again, hinging from the hips, fingertips down. Lengthen, inhale, and walk yourself out on the exhale. So again, finding length through the spine as much as you can. Long, smooth ujjayi breaths in and out through the nose. That slight constriction in the back of the throat as you breathe. If the nose breathing is not possible, of course, breathe through the mouth. Inhale, coming up. And then roll yourself forward. You're going to come to hands and knees and walk your hands in front of your shoulders. About a handprint. Now shift your hips to the right and start to bring the hips back toward the heels. And then shift them all the way to the left. And then bring your hips forward. So we're making a big circle. So hips to the right and back toward the heels. Inhale, shift the hips to the left. You can go fast or slow. Feel free to stop anywhere. Bring the hips forward. Exhale. Take them over to the right. Let's take one more circle. Inhale, hips to left and forward. Exhale, hips to right and back. Pause a moment, and then we're going to go the other direction. So we'll inhale the hips to the left, and then to forward, and sweep them over to the right. Exhale, and hips to heels. And again, now if you find a spot in this circle where you're just like, oh, that feels so good, then just stay there and stretch. You can do your hip circles faster. You can do them slower. Just be sure that you're breathing. So one more in this direction. And then we'll stop with the hips back at the heels and reach the arms forward. Spread your fingers wide. Turn your triceps, your upper arms down toward the floor, and your inner arms, your biceps, spin up toward the ceiling. Then come up onto the knees. Shift forward and lower slowly to the belly. Hands by the low ribs. Inhale, cobra. Inner thighs spin up, tailbone toward the heels. And then exhale, press up to the knees, lift the hips, and to down dog. And then we'll just bicycle the legs. One of my private clients says, walk your dog. So go ahead and walk your dog, bending one knee and the other. Then bend both knees, get length, and reach the heels down any amount. They don't have to touch, and the knees don't have to be straight. Draw the lower belly in and up, arms and ears in line. And breathe. Inhale, look up. Bend the knees, stepping the feet to the hands. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward, crown of the head reaching down. Bend the knees as needed. Press through the feet. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhaling, Samastitihi. Find your Tadasana. Feet together or hips width. Make sure the outer edges of your feet are parallel. Press evenly through the feet. Lift up through the arches. Spin your inner thighs back. Tailbone down. Lift the chest. But shoulder blades move down toward the waist. Nice, long, smooth breaths. Inhale, sweep your arms up. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, bend the knees, plant the palms, and step back into plank pose. Knees down, shift forward, exhale, lower all the way down to the belly. Inhale for cobra, or you can come into up dog, shoulders over wrists, and then exhale over to down dog. So if you can straighten the knees here, make sure to pull up on the kneecaps, firm your quadricep muscles. Keep your front ribs in, and then look up, step or hop your feet up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. And press down to rise all the way up, look up, lengthen. And exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale again, sweep the arms up. And exhale, hinge from the hips and fold. Hips over heels if your knees are straight. Inhale, look up, lengthen, heart forward. Exhale, step back into plank. Knees up or down. Chaturanga, shoulders no lower than the elbows. Inhale, press into up dog or stick with cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Spread the fingers wide. Press into the base of your fingers as your forearms lift up away from the mat. And keep working the weight up to the hips and down toward the heels. Now looking forward, bend the knees, step or hop, feet up to hands. Never have to hop, but if you want to, you can. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Press through the feet, rise up as you inhale, tailbone down, ribs in. Samastitihi, exhale. Inhale again, sweeping the arms. And exhale to fold. Inhale, lengthen your spine, look up. And exhale, bend the knees, step back into plank. Chaturanga, keep the legs firm as you lower, if they're off the floor. Inhale, press through the hands and feet, stretch the front of the body. Exhale, down dog, stretch out the back body. Steady breathing. Take a moment to revisit your intention or your dedication. And now looking up, bend the knees, step or hop your feet up. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to fold. And press down to rise all the way up and look up. And exhale, Samastitihi. So take a quarter turn toward the long side of your mat. Turn your right leg all the way out, your back toes in a little. Line up your front heel and your back arch. Inhale your arms to a T and exhale, bend your right knee over the ankle. So as you draw your right knee over the ankle, press it toward the pinky toe side of the foot a little and lengthen your tailbone down toward the floor, the right hip down. Gaze over the fingertips, lift the chest, but allow your shoulder blades some softness. And then lean forward and take your right forearm to your right thigh and reach your left arm up and over, spinning the left tricep down. I'm going to use my block on the pinky toe side of the right foot. Feel free to use yours as well, or you can keep forearm on thigh or hand to the floor. So looking up a little bit toward your upper arm. If that bothers your neck, you don't have to. Now I can lightly press my knee into my arm. Press into the heel, come on up, inhale, and now straighten the leg. Feet to parallel. I'm going to take the block to the other side so I can use it there. Spin your left leg out all the way, back toes in a little, and bend the knee for warrior two. Make sure you're still lined up on this side, heel to arch. Arms to a T. And again, lifting the chest, but softening through the shoulder blades. Back toes are in slightly. and your back inner thighs lifted. Nice, steady, calm breathing. Strong through the arms and the legs, but find some ease and comfort in the breath and shoulders. Lean forward, take left forearm to left thigh, reach your right arm up and over. Sink your back hip a little bit forward. And you can also take the left hand to the block if you wish. Reach the right arm in line with the ear. Keep sinking that back hip a little bit forward. Draw in through the lower belly. The top arm, spin the tricep forward. Pinky finger facing the floor, thumb facing up. It's a long line of energy from your fingertips all the way out to the outer edge of your back foot. Such a nice hip opening pose. Inhale, press through the heel to come up. Now we'll take the feet to parallel, toes in a little, so the outer edges of your feet are parallel. Hands to hips. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Hinge from your hip creases and take your hands to the floor. Lengthen as you inhale. Exhale, crown of the head reaching toward the floor. So if you're kind of close and you want to rest your head on a block, then do that. Or if your head reaches the floor, do that. So there's never any pressure though. You don't have to reach your head down at all. If you are to a point where your elbows are bending though, line up your wrists underneath your elbows and make sure your elbows stay parallel. And lift your shoulders up toward your waist and firm your leg muscles. Imagining holding a giant beach ball between the inner thighs. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, bring your hands to your hips. And inhale with a nice flat back, reach all the way back to center. And then point your toes out and your heels in. I'm going to take a high squat. So as you drop your tailbone down, lift your hip points up. And then hands lightly on the legs, rocking side to side. Try and keep your lower belly lifted. And just rocking back and forth. And then inhale, reach up through the arms. Keep dropping down through the tailbone. Keep pressing your knees back. Press into the heels. One more breath. Slowly, slowly straighten the legs. Either heel toe or hop your feet together and then turn back to the front. Back to Samastitihi. Inhale, bend the knees for Utkatasana. Chair pose, weight into the heels. Exhale, belly to thighs, and then straighten the knees any amount. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back to plank pose. Chaturanga, knees can be down here, of course. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale back into downward facing dog. Now step your right foot up by the right hand. The back foot is flat. Heel to heel alignment. Inhale, warrior one. Pull the right hip back. Exhale right away to chaturanga. If that's too much, go to down dog. Inhale, pressing up. Stretching the front of the body. Exhale back. Right away, the right foot steps your back foot already flat if you can. Rise up, inhale, pull the left hip back, tailbones reaching down. Exhale, bring the hands back, stepping into plank, chaturanga, knees up or down. Inhaling, upward dog. And exhale, stretch into down dog. We'll take a few breaths here. It's a nice time for a child's pose if you'd like one. You can take the knees down, rest for a few breaths, or push the pause button and rest longer. But keep nice, steady breath. If you're in down dog or child's pose, look forward, step or hop your feet up. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, fold in. Bend the knees, drop the hips, reach up, inner thighs spinning down. And then back to Tadasana, Samastitihi. I'm going to do one more. Inhale, bend the knees again. Sweep the arms, tailbone down. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, step back and lower. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Left foot flat, right foot steps. Inhale, warrior one. You can also lift the leg into the air first if you need. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Right foot flat, left foot steps. Inhale, warrior one. Your heel to heel alignment with the feet are wider. Exhale, step back to chaturanga or skip it and go to down dog. Inhale, lift those legs off the floor and up dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, down dog. Stretch back. Find your breath again. Sometimes when we do these Surya Namaskar Bs, our breath gets a little bit labored. So if that's the case, rest. Inhale, right leg up if you're keeping on going. We're going to bring your right leg forward for pigeon pose. Ekapada Kapotasana. So sometimes it hurts the knee. If that's the case for you, come onto your back like this. Take thread the needle pose instead. It's an alternate hip opening that usually feels better on knees. If you're going to take pigeon pose, make sure your left leg is straight back and all the toes are pressing down. Your ankle's not turning. And now if you roll off to your right hip, you'll need to prop it up. Put a block under there or a blanket because it's important to keep the hips level. It's an important part of the pose. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. You can stay right where you are or exhale maybe to the forearms, or you might lengthen all the way out. So again, if you are having a stretch in the knee, if you're feeling anything there, come out of the pose. Take the other pose instead, because in yoga, we do not stretch the knee. Don't want to stretch it. And this pose can be very calming, but it can also, for some, be a little emotional. Sometimes hip openers can stir things up that we didn't know were there. So just know if that happens, it's totally fine. Now coming up, let's take the left forearm parallel with the front of the mat and inhale, reach the right arm up. Keep drawing your right hip back with this twist. And then unwind. Tuck your back toes under. Sweep your right leg up into the air. Stretch it out. Stretch out your hip. You can make a circle if you wish. Getting into that hip joint. And then set the right foot down. Left side. Inhale, left leg lifts from the inner thigh. Exhale, your left ankle goes over toward the right wrist. And again, come into it. Now, even if the first side didn't hurt your knee, but this side does, don't take any chances. Just roll onto that left hip and lie on your back. Bring your left ankle just past your right knee and flex your left ankle. You can hold the right leg anywhere you wish. It's a very nice pose also. And then coming back up, if you're taking pigeon, the left leg forward, right leg behind. Make sure the right leg is straight behind you. If you're rolling onto your left hip at all, put a block underneath or a blanket or a pillow, whatever you have to level off your hips. And now lengthen here on the inhale. You can stay right where you are. Or exhale, come forward to the forearms. Or you might lie all the way down if your hips are more open. My hips were not open for a very long time. They've gotten open over the years, but it was they were probably the last thing to release. And like I mentioned before, sometimes you can feel emotional when you're trying to stretch out those hips, and that's what happened to me. I would get these emotional responses, and I don't really know what was being released, but I was happy to be rid of whatever it was. Things can sometimes settle in our bodies and our tissues. There's a saying, the issues are in the tissues. So sometimes things can settle there that we don't know anything about, but we can let them go. All right, come back up. Right forearm parallel with the front of the mat, left arm up and twist. Keep pulling your left hip back so that the hips will stay level. Take one more breath and then release. Come on up, tuck the toes, sweep your left leg back and up, stretch it out, maybe big circle or just bend straighten the knee, and then take the left foot down. Inhale, plank, exhale to the belly. So we're going to reach the tailbone toward the heels, pubic bone down, belly up. The inner thighs will lift up toward the ceiling as you come into Savasana. Imagine you have a block and you're holding it between the inner thighs. Keep the back of the neck long, lift the shoulder heads, and then rest. So as you're resting here, press all your toenails into the floor and then draw your outer ankles in and up. That'll get the legs in the proper position so that when you lift them, you just keep them like that. So do arms by ears. Inhale, lift everything up. Draw the ribs and belly in, tailbones reaching to heels. You may like to swim the arms back, take the pinky toe sides of the feet. Inhale, lift up, pressing back with the feet. Dhanurasana, bow pose. Same actions, tailbone reaches to backs of knees. And then come down to rest. Hands by the ribs, press up onto the knees, and then take your hips all the way back to your heels for Balasana, child's pose, and rest. Smooth out the breath. Return to your intention or your dedication. And looking forward, we'll come back into downward facing dog. Look up, step or hop to seated. Take the soles of feet together for Baddha Konasana. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, with a long spine, hinge from the hips to come forward. So don't worry about rounding the back and getting low. It doesn't matter. Just try and get length. If you don't come forward really at all, that's completely fine too. It's a process. It takes time. As long as you feel a stretch, that's the only important thing. Inhale, come up. Grab your big toes with your first two fingers. We're going to lift those feet right off the floor and try to balance on the sit bones. So you have to draw the belly in. You might roll back. Make sure there's nothing behind you. Exhale, right leg out to the right, and hold on to the right leg if you can't reach the toe. That's great. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, slowly the left leg out. Keep lifting the belly. We're using belly muscles to help us here. Inhale, bring the leg to center. Chest lifted. Exhale, both legs out. Any amount. Feel free to hold the legs instead of the feet. Keep the chest lifted. Now release the legs, but hold them up. Palms touching. Now we're really using core muscles, including those hip flexors. Re-grab the toes. Hopefully the legs didn't fall. And then taking the feet together and down. Dandasana. Staff pose, sitting tall. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips to Paschimottanasana. Pull the toes back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale to extend forward. Feel free to use your strap. So again, it never, ever, ever matters how deep we get in. It just matters that we feel a good stretch. That way we know the blood is moving in and the toxins are moving out. Inhale, head up, and exhale to release. Roll down onto your back. Draw your knees into your chest. Arms out to a T. Drop the knees over to the right and look over the left shoulder. You can also cross your right knee over your left knee. Inhale back to center, uncross if you're crossed. And exhale, knees to the left, looking right. Option to cross the left knee on top of your right knee. So if it bothers your neck to look over the opposite shoulder, then don't. Just look up. And then inhale, coming back to center. And hug your knees in one more time. Keep lengthening through the tailbone, and now we're making our way into Savasana. Let the feet flop open, arms by your sides, palms up. Let everything just relax into the floor. Come to natural breathing, quiet mind and quiet body, Savasana. Our quote today comes from Dr. Seuss. I like this one. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. So true. We have to be ourselves because everybody else is taken. I know that's a quote. It's not mine. Make some movements in your fingers and your toes and your hands and your feet. Stretch out through your arms and your legs. Roll off to the right. And then with your left hand, make your way up to seated. And sitting up nice and tall, hands together. Let's bring our hands to the forehead, reminding us to have clear and loving thoughts. And our hands to the heart center, reminding us to have clear and loving intentions. Hands to the mouth, reminding us to have clear and loving communications. Sending out wonderful energy to all beings everywhere. Thank you so much for joining today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Don't forget to push the subscribe button and the like button too. If you can afford a donation of any amount, there's a link below. Or you could go to fightmasteryoga.com and there's a button there. If you do any Amazon shopping, we also have a banner, an Amazon banner or button. And if you click there, it doesn't cost you anything more to shop through Amazon, but it does help support Fightmaster Yoga. If you want any information about our ladies retreat, March 5th through the 10th, 2016, off the coast of Cancun, Isla Mujeres. It actually means Isle of Women. Email me, it's below. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Oh, and there's Indy. And there he goes.